This is Pragmata running on FSR 3 Performance on the ROG Ally Z1 Extreme. And this is the same game, same hardware, same wattage with FSR turned off. Look at the screens, that's not a small difference. That's the game breaking its own art style, and today I'm gonna show you how exactly you can avoid this and still get decent performance. So Pragmata is a demanding game. This is Capcom's RE engine title, but it's pushing geometry, emissive lighting and particle effects at a scale most RE engines don't. On a full desktop GPU, this is fine. On the Z1 Extreme, we have to be smart about it. 30 watts, that's where we are starting. No turbo, no overclocking, just the chip doing its job efficiently. And at 30 watts, the stock fan profile can get aggressive. I'm running a custom curve in Armory Crate to keep the temperatures under 90 degrees mark without it sounding like a jet engine on the desk. Now here's the exact config. Resolution stays at 900p. Display mode borderless windowed, ray tracing off, path tracing off, VSync off, upscaling off. But frame generation stays on AMD FSR, dynamic resolution on. This is important. The game handles minor internal scaling, which means we are not fighting it, we are working with it. Now the rest, hairs low, textures low, 0.5 GB. Texture filtering, keep that as anisotropic 16x. On RDNA, this is essentially free. It costs you nothing and it keeps surfaces looking sharp. Mesh quality low, effects low, anti-aliasing FXAA plus TAA, ambient occlusion SSAO, volumetric lighting off, bloom, screen space reflection, subsurface scattering, motion blur, lens flare all off. Now global illumination stays medium. If you drop this to low, the world loses its depth. Objects start looking flat and floaty. That 4 to 5 FPS gain is not worth losing the sense of immersion this game was built around. With this config, in the open city areas, you're looking at 60 to 70 FPS consistently, even mid-combat. GPU sitting at 93 to 94% load. Temperatures around 85 to 87 degrees, completely normal for this chip under load. Frame times are clean. This is not just scraping by, this is genuinely comfortable. Tighter indoor areas actually run better. You'll see mid-70s here easily and consistently. Less draw distance, less geometry to push. The hardware breathes a little. Cutscenes land between 60 to mid-70s. You will occasionally get a frame spike at the start and the end of a cutscene. It's not sustained, it's not a stutter loop. So it's just the engine transitioning. Noticeable if you're watching your overlay, not so much if you're immersed in the game. You might also see these asset streaming pauses in a few areas like this. This is not a settings problem and there is something you can do about it. Make sure your UMA VRAM buffer is set to around at least 7 GB in Armory Crate. The RE engine loves to allocate memory even when it's not using it immediately, and giving it the headroom keeps those pauses shorter and less frequent. Remember, the Z1 Extreme is still running on unified memory architecture for its APU, but with a much narrower memory bus, which only allows total theoretical bandwidth of around 102 GB per second, which is much less than a full modern laptop like a 5060 laptop, which has a bandwidth of around 384 gigabytes per second. So some of this is just hardware reality. But the VRAM setting helps decrease the smaller loading screens, and also it's not constant, so it's fine. The second major area with Vegetation runs a bit heavier. High 50s to low 60s is where you live in this area. Still in the 60 FPS territory, still playable, just slightly less headroom. The image still holds together at native 900p, and that matters more in this game than you'd think. So now we come to the big ones, the boss fights. When the boss is doing its most extreme moves, maximum particles, maximum chaos on screen, you will dip into the mid to high 50s consistently, not occasionally, consistently, and sometimes even touch the high 40s. I'm telling you this because you deserve to know. But the gameplay still feels responsive. The frame times don't spike widely. It's a sustained load, not a broken experience. For a 3-year-old gaming handheld running a next-gen Capcom title, that's a result. Now let's talk about why I'm not recommending FSR 3 performance even though it gives you more frames. FSR 3 performance at 900p is rendering internally at around 600p and reconstructing up. On most geometry, that's fine. But Pragmata's world is full of emissive visual screens, holograms, neon signage, high frequency elements that temporal reconstruction cannot hold stable. What you get is consistent shimmering, flickering. The world's aesthetic is built around this exact type of element, and FSR is actively degrading it. The frame rate gain is real, the cost is also real. At native, with frame gen only, those elements are much more stable and clean. The game looks like itself. Now, if you're playing exclusively on the Ally screen, never docking, drop to 720p, even though I'm still running at 900p. Same settings, no upscaling, no changes. The smaller screen forgives the lower resolution and you'll get extra headroom across the board. Simple, clean, no mods required. And speaking of mods, yes, Optiscaler and custom upscaler configs exist. They can push this further, but if you want something that just works, you just install, launch, play without worrying about DLL conflicts and game crashes, this is the setup. Also, just so that you can see the image quality, this is the game running on a 27-inch monitor. Output from Ally, native 900p. You can judge the image yourself. So here's the final call. If you want the smoothest possible experience and you can live with the shimmer, FSR 3 performance plus frame gen gets you there. But if you want the game to look the way Capcom intended it to look on this hardware, native 900p or 720p, frame gen only, these settings, mostly 60 FPS stable, clean. That's Pragmata on the ROG Ally Z1 Extreme. Settings are in the description. If this helped, you know what to do.